I have no idea. Yes. Oh, should have to hold it in. Hey, Sophie Davis, how you doing? Welcome to the Kick Stream. How you doing?
Which of these races will you be competing in?
Well, who's gonna turn down a junior mint? Yeah, hello. Oh, you mother... Oh, you mother... bugger. Hey! Yeah, they're not worth paying any attention to right now. I'm completely checked out on them now. This is such a fucking joke. And they're not doing anything about it either. It's like, they should have made like 3 trades by now if they gave a shit. Like, it's not even about payroll anymore. It's like everyone's going to talk about payroll, but it's like, Julio's one of our highest paid players, and he's completely forgotten how to do anything. He doesn't do anything anymore. It's like, what the hell? He's supposed to be entering his prime in the next couple of years. What the fuck? Hello, how you doing?
Remember when George's plan to look busy at work was just always look annoyed?
Yeah.
And then at the end of the episode, Steinbrenner calls him into his office. He's like, I used to be like you, George. And I do all kinds of things to take my frustration out on people just to upset them, you know? Like threaten to move the team to New Jersey just to piss them off.
I mean, I used to do that. It actually works. You look annoyed a lot, and people think you're busy. It's actually a real thing. Well, I don't know what that peanut over there and that fella is saying, but I think you should try to win them back the marketplace with a more competitive business model.
Oh yeah, what a great idea. Not.
So, did your day go okay?
It was alright. I was fucking pissed. Before I got to go home, but then I got to go and like, you know, I'm still like I'm not really missing out on a day's pay because the way that Amazon works is that when it's a holiday, just for clocking in, you automatically get 8 hours for free.
Nice.
So I still got a day's pay, but I would have gotten an extra day's pay by working the full day, but I didn't because I got sent home early. And I'm like, none of this is my fault because the reason this got all fucked up in the first place is because they overstaffed for today. And I'm like, that's not my fault because I'm a full-timer. It's not my fault that you guys bring in a bunch of flex people because they volunteer to work this shift because they want the holiday pay. Well, that's good for them. But the fucking shit should be full at some point, you know? Why is it me who's full-time? I got scheduled for this day way back in fucking June when I got hired. You know? It's going to be the exact same thing, you know, if a bunch of fucking people show up on Christmas, then I'm going to be like, well, hey, guess what, guys? It's not my fault, because I got scheduled for this back when I got fucking hired back in June. Don't give me that shit. They're like, well, we just have too many people here, so you And I'm like, so I can't be on my phone, I can't sit down, I can't go somewhere where it's not 100 degrees outside. I can't fucking do anything to be comfortable and not in hell. I have to just stand here and wait for you guys to have something for me to do. Are you kidding? How is that my fault? So I was super fucking pissed and said, just fucking send me home.
And you still get paid something, right?
I got,
least,
here, I'll look at it. Look at it in my app. Yeah, I got 8 hours of holiday pay and 1 hour and 17 minutes of holiday overtime.
Alright, well, better than a kick in the ass.
That should have been 7 hours of holiday overtime, so I should have gotten paid for 15 hours today, but, whatever. I still got something.
And
like, my paycheck's not going to be worse by any stretch.
Yeah, and now you get to do stuff at home that you otherwise wouldn't be able to do.
It just extra pisses me off because I'm like, again, I'm full-time, but I'm the guy that gets screwed. I helped the company out by working a bunch of voluntary overtime this week, and I'm the one that gets screwed so that a bunch of Johnny-come-latelys can get holiday pay. Fuck them. Like, why am I the guy that gets screwed? Yeah, I'll just let it go.
Could be worse. Could be better, too.
Yeah.
But worse is more likely.
Yeah, could be worse is the best I can hope for in my life.
There is a lot of cope going on right now, man. I don't know if you've been keeping up on it.
A lot of cope going on with what?
In the political world on the internet.
Oh, there's always a lot of cope, but what's going on today?
Well, nothing necessarily specifically, other than the fact that the UK elections are starting to come in, and it looks like Reform is going to win in a massive landslide.
Yeah, that makes sense. See, what's really funny, because I've been reading British guys are talking about it, and I'm like, I don't know if I really want to vote for Reform, because look at all this gay pandering to, shitskins that they're doing. And I'm like, you gotta understand, the people who are in charge are still boomers. They still think it's the 1980s.
Yes, right, guy, you're correct. But Reform is they're picking up a lot of seats. Labour is winning, but Reform is doing extremely well, yes. Which was totally expected. I think Sargon of Akkad was like leading a campaign for having nobody vote Conservative so the Conservative Party can be gutted and replaced with something better.
I wouldn't necessarily say that he was leading it. However, there was a huge push, yes, and that's what it's building up towards. Is that the purpose of today's election is to destroy the Conservative Party. Because those on the left want to destroy the Conservative Party because they think that if the Conservative Party dies, then that means the right wing has been defeated forever. Because they're fucking retarded. And actual right-wingers want to destroy the Conservative Party because they're correctly saying that there's no difference between the British Conservative Party and Labour. Because the Conservative Party's platform was, you have to vote for us because immigration will get so much worse with Labour in charge. And it's like, so you cocksuckers acknowledge that immigration's an issue that people care about, and yet you have been in charge for like 10 fucking years uninterrupted, at least. And all of these immigration problems have occurred on your watch. That you're going to tell us that we need to super vote for you this time because, that's the only way that it's going to, this time will be different. So they're saying, no, fuck you. I hope that your party dies, and we're going to replace you with something better. So given that Reform was the one that everyone said, okay, we're going to have these guys be the new right-wing party, Nigel Farage came out of retirement because he was like, if I've actually got the chance to go on and become Prime Minister, then let's fucking go.
Could you imagine?
It would be fantastic. But yeah, like, this is a country that's just been very... it's funny, it's happening basically all over Europe, where their right-wing parties are almost identical to their left-wing parties. They still believe in all of the same weird communist shit that we really don't like here in America. But the main difference is just that left-wingers are batshit insane when it comes to immigration, and right-wingers, like, immigration is the only thing they care about. So that being the main difference, that's what leads to landslide victories for right-wing parties over the last several years, is because immigration is a huge issue. The only country where you don't see that happening is in Denmark, because Denmark is the only country where their left-wing party is actually anti-immigration. It's the sole difference in European politics.
Kind of depressing.
Can you, yeah, can you imagine if it was like that here? UK Conservative Party might not win another election if Labour opens the borders even more. This is the exact point of what people who are not voting for the Conservative Party and are instead voting for reform are talking about. Is that the Conservative Party has been in charge for over a decade, uninterrupted, and yet the borders are already as open as they could possibly be. How could this possibly get any worse? You know, and that's why they're doing this, so... Very good thing. Anyway, I found a funny picture that I'm sending you on DM. I'll give you 3 guesses. It's the same reason it's high crime everywhere. But just to underscore the point. The red in the first picture lines up almost perfectly with the green in the second picture.
What have you done, big cities? Also, over the last couple days, because I guess a bunch of Epstein phone logs got released, leftists on X have been trying to revive the whole Trump raped a 12-year-old girl thing from 2016 that got thrown out of court. I don't know if you remember this or not.
No, I do. They were throwing literally everything they possibly could at him. And it's like, you guys are fucking retarded. Especially, like... I'm tired of having to explain it to people, because it's like, okay, look, no matter what you think about the guy, Trump is a billionaire and Epstein was also a billionaire. If you were a billionaire that lived in New York City, the odds are really good that you traveled in the same social circle.
Right.
So that's how you see pictures of Trump and Epstein together. However, if you notice, all those pictures of them together are from the 80s and 90s. And the FBI themselves have stated many times that they're like, yeah, you know, we started investigating Epstein because, you know, Trump was giving us all this information about how Epstein was a fucked up person. You know, he was like, hey, I know, and once he did that, he's like, okay, I'm gonna ban him from Mar-a-Lago, I'm gonna ban him from all of my clubs, and I'm not gonna associate with him anymore. So that's why you don't see pictures of the two of them together after like 2005, like post 9/11. They're never seen together again. Meanwhile, you've got fucking pictures of the Clintons palling around with a guy like a couple of days before the fucking news broke.
Mm-hmm. This is really bad
And
timing.
you have the same people. And you have the same people going on and on. Oh, Trump raped a 12-year-old. Unironically still worship Hillary. Austin says, Brendan, honest question. Should I just say fuck it, I'm conservative at this point? I mean, if I'm voting Republican, should I just say I am? I mean, Dems made me choose. Well, that's the thing, is that even if you consider yourself more of a centrist, as the Democrats go further and further to the left, they still really strongly have the whole if you're not with me, then you're against me kind of attitude. So you're right in the sense that if you don't identify with as far gone as they've gone, then they will call you conservative anyway. But you don't have to call yourself something if you don't really agree with it and feel that way. But I mean, how you vote's your own business. How you think and feel is your own business. I just hope that people who don't pay any attention to shit don't fucking vote, you know?
Or pay very little attention to it. That's what Nate Silver has been talking about a ton over the last week. You know, if you're a single mother of 3 kids and you work 2 jobs, you have no time to pay attention to politics, really. So you might have tuned into that debate last week, and it's the first time you've seen Biden since the inauguration. And you're like, holy shit, that guy's too old to be president anymore. You know?
Yeah. What's really killing me is, like, just the complete lack of taking that last extra step. Because, you know, exactly like you're talking about, people see how far gone Biden is, they're like, holy shit, I had no idea it was this bad. And then they don't take that last extra step of thinking, well, Jesus Christ, if he's this bad, what else is Donald Trump right about?
What else are they lying to me about? Yeah. Scott Adams has been pursuing that line on Twitter a lot the last week, basically saying, like, wait until you find out about climate change.
Oh yeah, big time. I red pilled a shitload of people on Twitter the other day because they had a bunch of kids preaching, oh my god, climate change is real, it's like the worst thing ever. How can you deny that, you know, the scientific consensus is that the planet is getting hotter and it's going to blah blah blah. And I'm like, because the scientific consensus, like back in the 70s, was that the planet's getting colder and we're all going to die in a new ice age. You know, that's why old people don't take climate change very seriously, is because boomers are old enough to have lived through when it was supposed to be too cold. Now they're saying it's going to be too hot, and they're like, okay, well, what's next?
Well, and also often, as for, you know, what you were saying about that, I mean, I don't think party lines matter as much as they used to, because recently, I was rewatching CNN's coverage of election night in 2016. This is 2016, to be clear, right? And rewatching it, I actually think CNN did a pretty good job, because I was comparing it to MSNBC, and there is a clear difference, a very bad difference, where MSNBC cannot even try to be impartial for a moment. CNN, I thought, did a pretty good job, but, you know, one thing they were saying is that I don't think, you know, they were saying, I don't think I've ever seen party lines matter less than they do in this election. You know, they were voting, people voted along class lines, people voted along, you know, territorial lines. It wasn't really about party anymore.
Right. I mean, a lot of people have been talking about lately because of polls among women, because they just do polls and they just say women.
Mm-hmm.
And women overwhelmingly support Biden over Trump. They're like, oh my god, you know, repeal the 19th and all this, which I still think is a completely valid position to take. But they're not looking at the closer thing there. The majority of white women vote for Trump as opposed to Biden. Now, it's close, but it's still like 56% to 44%.
Mm-hmm.
Which is still substantial, you know?
Yeah.
But
I mean,
the reason
I think,
that it's...
Didn't Obama win white women?
The first time, yes. The second time, no.
Okay.
So in 2008, yes. 2012, no.
Like, that matters.
Right, and there are lots of different ways that you can break things down that makes a bigger difference. Uh, White women with college degrees versus not having college degrees because of, and they always argue, they're like, well, it's because they're more educated. Once they go to college, they're smarter, so they don't support Republicans anymore. And it's like, no, it's because they went through that insane brainwashing that leads to them cutting off their hair. All on half of their head, they cut off all their hair. On the other half, they have some weird fucking swoop that they're doing, and they color it green. They stop shaving their body hair, and they get like a million fucking piercings. And they shave their eyebrows off too, and they just look like fucking horrifying. That's your college graduate that votes Democrat. And it's like, yeah, big fucking surprise. And then, you know, in spite of all that, you know, it becomes, when you look at Hispanic women, you know, it's like 80-20. And when you look at black women, it's 97-3.
Yeah, I mean,
So it's like,
yeah,
well,
it's getting slightly
obvious
better,
here.
but yeah.
Right, the explanation is very obvious here. Men versus women is nowhere near as important as racial demographics in terms of party preference. So exactly like you're saying, it's like party lines don't really mean anything anymore. People vote how they vote based off of
It was along class lines.
right,
More than anything.
along class lines, along racial lines, and so many other things. And you start to see it reflected in the policies of the party that seem so extraordinarily contradictory. It's like there's no coherent platform here. It's just a loose coalition of divergent interests who decided to join the same team. And it's like, what the hell do they all have in common? It's like, well, this group isn't white, that group isn't white, that group isn't, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all they're all trying to find other different ways that they can identify. And then once they find a new group that they want to be part of, they say, okay, now how can I make sure that my group gets all of these special privileges?
And it's also, you know, lines of where people live. Do they live in a rural area, or do they live in a, you know, an urban area? And then you're kind of fighting over the suburban area. That's the part that is always kind of like going back and forth.
Bro, Gladiator 2's gonna suck.
Yeah, I've been seeing some of the pictures coming from that.
It's gonna be complete slop. Like, listen to this. Because then, you know, I'll go on a quick historical rant afterwards. But as Gladiator 2 begins, Pedro Mescal's Lucius has a wife and child and lives a relatively peaceful life with them until conquerors from his homeland begin to encroach. He's taken root in a seacoast town in Numidia. He's a blue-eyed, fair-skinned man with red hair, and he couldn't be more different from the inhabitants. Scott says, it's one of the last surviving civilizations as the Romans begin to descend to North Africa and take it all over. Bro, North Africans were light-skinned.
Yeah, that's like Charlize Theron, right?
Yeah, fucking, it's sub-Saharan Africans who are extremely black, but the ones that touched the Mediterranean had already been, like, the lands were empty, and they were colonized by civilizations there. The Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Carthaginians had all come from different areas, whether it be the Levant or in and around Greece, the Balkans, the Italian peninsula, and so on. And they were all light-skinned. The reason that North Africans today are dark is because of the Islamic conquest of Africa. And then Arabs humping anything that moved and colonizing those areas. So what you see in today's North Africans are not the descendants of Carthaginians, not the descendants of the Egyptians of antiquity, but instead the descendants of Arabs. And from the sounds of this absolute flop, everybody there the fucking is gonna be black, and it's like that's not true at all.
Yeah.
God, it's gonna suck.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably going to be better than the original idea for Gladiator 2.
What was the original idea for Gladiator 2? Russell Crowe fighting around the world?
I mean, kind of. It would be fighting through time. Basically, Maximus would have become
Yeah.
It would have been like Doctor Who, where basically he would have just traveled through time, jumping through time to find different things to, like, help people and save people. It would have been like Quantum Leap meets Doctor Who. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
This was the idea.
I was just about to say this genuinely sounds like Oh, your fucking controller died. Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm not very happy about that. I'm going to be honest.
Oh my god, you got me. Again, just like, hold on, he's winning. Slow him down. Jesus Christ. Isn't it? Because, like, the way it works on Xbox is if your controller ever loses connection, it automatically pauses the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was some bullshit right there. I'm not happy about that.
Why did... Oh, man. I would be steamed if I would have thrown my fucking controller through the wall.
I can probably still win, but yeah, anyway, go ahead.
No, I'm not gonna lie to you. That sounds way better than the flop. Like, cause I love Quantum Leap, and even though obviously that's hilarious and campy, and like there's no fucking way anybody could have taken that movie seriously, it probably would have been really good compared to whatever we're gonna fucking end up with here. Black. Anyway, I'll be right back.
Mm-hmm. Alright. Yeah, I'm actually gonna lose this fucking race because of my controller dying. Like, god fucking damn it. That literally cost it. Okay. I'm just gonna unplug the controller completely and go off battery because I have full battery. I don't know, Austin. My mom watches Fox News all day, so I watch a little bit of it, but she mostly just watches Jesse Waters and Greg Gutfeld. And Gutfeld is more entertainment than he is, like, news or anything like that. Like, he's basically just the right-wing Colbert or whatever you want to say. I certainly like Gutfeld more than Colbert. Like, Colbert, I don't understand at all. Like, I've never once in my life seen Colbert be funny. Like, it's not even just a matter of, oh, I don't agree with the things he says. He's not funny. He's not even close to being funny. Like, I don't like Jon Stewart either, but Jon Stewart's been funny on occasion. I think Gutfeld is entertaining to boomers, and, you know, there's a place in the world for that, but I don't particularly care for him. Gutfeld is actually, say what you will, like, Gutfeld is actually doing remarkably well right now with, like, no budget whatsoever. He is doing much better than guys like Colbert and what's the other guy? John Oliver. In terms of, like, ratings and stuff. I will say that. Yeah, I don't like Hannity very much. But I don't really watch news, you know, for news anyway. I get my stuff from people I trust on the internet. I think that's a far better way. Austin, there are really only 2 channels that I follow for election stuff. I think Real American's probably the best. It's just his voice is kind of hard to listen to. It's not his fault. It's kind of like RFK, right? Like, RFK is really hard to listen to. Real American's kind of like that too, but I think he's probably the best. And then there's Red Eagle. I think both those guys do a pretty good job. Those are the only 2 that I really watch regularly, though. I haven't seen this for myself yet because I don't watch his videos very much, but I did hear that LTE threw in the towel. Like, he did a projection after the debate, and he now thinks Trump is going to win. And to be clear, LTE is probably on the payroll of the Biden administration. So him saying that actually kind of matters. Yeah, LTE is Let's Talk Elections. I'm pretty sure he's on the payroll of the Biden administration. But even he acknowledged, like, yeah, this is going in a very bad direction. Well, I mean, Austin, I'm not talking about his personal positions on things. I'm talking about his election coverage, his ability to actually, like, look at results and try to read them and understand them and process them and deliver his findings. I think Red Eagle is very... Oh, shit! No! Man, I might still win despite fucking up that bad. I can't believe I still won. Shit. Oh, shit. Oh, God! Well, that might be disqualifying, but let's finish the race. I mean, Colorado's not really worth fighting for. It's not even that many votes. Like, you know, I think it was Red Eagle who said the other day, Colorado is basically the Democrats' Florida, a state that used to be a swing state, and maybe even a little bit of a red state that has completely gone blue, and it's something that Democrats are really proud of. Like, you know, that's a good trade. That's a very worthwhile trade. Very. I will trade Colorado for Florida easily. Like, there was a time when it looked like the right wing was trading Florida for Virginia. That's actually kind of a fair trade, but now I don't know what's going on in Virginia right now. Like, something's weird's happening in Virginia. Worth monitoring going forward, even though I don't think it's going to flip right now.
Well, I can tell you that Virginia flipping is still relatively new. Virginia was a solid red state for many years.
Absolutely. But the Virginia GOP kind of pieced out after Bush won the second time, I think.
Well, a big reason for that is having lived in Virginia, I can tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Many of the people who live, or not live, but work in D.C. actually live in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Because in D.C. you've got what is called the DMV area, D.C., Maryland, Virginia,
Mm-hmm.
where you got Northern Virginia, which is just considered the parts that, like, touch D.C. And then Maryland, which is itself a small state. But I think they did this intentionally because of how many electoral votes Virginia is worth. They started moving to Virginia because, of course, there was a higher quality of life there, lower cost of living, a nicer place.
Mm-hmm.
And Maryland was already solid blue thanks to Baltimore. Like, no Republican was ever going to get anything ever again. So then people who worked in D.C. just said, okay, we're just going to live in Northern Virginia. And they started sending a ton of immigrants, like H-1B Indians. Because, again, this is headquarters for a lot of different companies because they know, being that close to D.C., that's where they want to be so that they can have their lobbyists go bother them and all that kind of shit. So they bring in a ton of immigrants to clean the offices. They bring in a ton of immigrants to do all the low-level grunt work and staffing and all that kind of shit. So there's a shitload of Indians in Virginia. There's a shitload of Hispanics in Virginia. I knew a guy I worked with who was from fucking Guatemala and ended up in Virginia because he's like, yeah, when I came through the border, they just sent me here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, who's they? And he said something in Spanish, and I didn't understand Spanish back then, so that was it. We just moved on, and I never continued the conversation from there, but... So, culturally, still very conservative. And the whites there are very conservative, but there's a lot of swamp monsters that live there. So it's always going to be close. And because of that, flipping back is not out of the realm of possibility, especially because they've had Democrats in charge for a while, and folks are not happy with it. Because in the time since I lived there, which is 10 years ago, cost of living has skyrocketed, taxes have skyrocketed, jobs have gone down, like everything has got substantially worse there. See, I would not at all be surprised if people were just like, you know what? Let's go back to doing that thing we were doing where this place was nice.
Mm-hmm. It's certainly possible.
I definitely think that after all these years and everything that people have been through, we can definitely see that diversity is not our strength. And the older I get, the more in favor of ethno-states I become. Like, Japan should be something to emulate. But at the same time, it worries me a lot because, as they start having the population crisis, they've got a politician in charge of the place who says, hey, the way that we should fix this is by having more Japanese babies. So he does everything he can to try to get people to get married and have children. And then they fucking shoot him. And then the guy who's in charge of Japan now says, okay, we'll take in your African refugees, and crime is skyrocketing in Japan, and the Japanese don't know how to handle it because their cops don't even have guns. Because it's been so low crime for so long, This is the exact same thing that happened in the United Kingdom. Before 9/11, the cops in the United Kingdom didn't even have guns. They just were those funny caricatures with the weird helmet, and they had the Billy Club. That was it. But now they're just as militarized as American police are. I wonder why. The exact same things end up happening in Japan, and I'm like, how the hell is it no one can see what all of these countries have in common, before and after? Well, right, guy, but that's just what I was talking about. Where all those people in Northern Virginia are not actually from Virginia. They're immigrants and they're swamp monsters who decided to live there so that their vote can make a bigger difference when they commute to their job in D.C.
Hell of a commute.
I think that federal strategy-wise, they should not consider Virginia too strongly, because like you're saying, it's a very strong Democrat presence in Northern Virginia. The only way to really fix things would be like if working from home became even more ubiquitous. There would be a lot of changes in the country that people aren't really thinking about and talking about. And I think the political restructuring of the country would be a huge one. Because if the majority of jobs became remote and it became easy to get a remote job and you could live anywhere and have that job, people will obviously start moving to places that are lower cost.
Right.
Now, people have been fleeing California in such numbers that California's already lost a number of representatives and electoral votes. They still have a massive amount, but you could very easily end up with a lot of states like California, or ending up like California, I mean. And places where there aren't a lot of people, a lot of folks could move there, and then it would radically change the politics there. That could happen. What I know is that if getting a remote job was easy to the point where like any swinging dick could do it, and they paid you a decent amount and you could truly live anywhere, I would leave the country and live in a place where the dollar goes super, super far.
I've thought about doing that before, like the Philippines.
I would be worried about the Philippines because if China ever decides to start expanding militarily, of course the first place they go is going to be Taiwan, but the Philippines would be next.
True.
And they're already very antagonistic towards the Philippines. If you make a living as a fisherman in the Philippines, you genuinely have a more dangerous job than deep sea Alaskan crab fishers here in the United States. Because while in the Bering Sea, all the storms and shit is very dangerous for those sailors, the Filipino sailors are constantly being killed by Chinese military vessels because they send escorts out with their fishing vessels because they want to say that basically the entire ocean belongs to China. So if the only presence that they even encounter in those waters are just going to be Filipino sailors, what the fuck's going to happen if they sink the boat? Like, no one's going to do anything. I'm sitting there like, my God, I can't even imagine that kind of shit, but here we are now. Like, imagine that kind of thing happening in the 90s, that sort of attitude from China, and then just randomly murdering Filipino sailors, sinking the boats.
True.
Can't even think of it.
Question: if something happened, would I have time to run? Is the question, I guess.
If you lived really, really close to an airport, but that's the thing, is that the amount of airports in the Philippines are limited, and a lot of other Westerners live in those same areas, so it'd end up being like fucking Mad Max, you know, like just a scramble. It'd be a fucking Thunderdome, everybody trying to get on board. No, like, I don't know if you've seen any pictures of like air traffic over Ukraine for the last couple of years, but oh man, every airline in the world is like, yeah, I ain't flying over that country.
I don't know if that's true, Austin. Real American did a video, I think yesterday, outlining the best case scenario for Trump, and he could only get to 347. And I watched him do his map breakdown, and I don't think there's any areas that he really missed. Like, so I'm not seeing the 358 at all. I don't know where 358's gonna happen. Like, he would have to flip like New Jersey or something, and that's just not going to happen right now. He can close the gap, potentially.
I think the only way that kind of thing could happen is if Biden gets substantially worse and everyone sees it and knows it, and everyone's like, oh my God, I can't vote for this idiot. They'd still end up with a ton of vote blue no matter who people who would be Biden voters. But then you'd also get a lot of boomers who are like, oh, this is gross. And then if Trump managed to find a way to get the country to take RFK more seriously, like my idea, which I love, if he did a second debate without Biden there, it was just him versus RFK. And then, you know, like, take it easy, you know, like not take a dive, of course, but like, instead of being the normal bombastic and antagonistic version of Trump, just fucking take it easy, you know, be cordial, be civil, and don't be antagonistic at all. Let people see RFK and like even see him winning and be like, oh my God, RFK might have a shot. And you know, treat him with respect and civility, all this other kind of shit, and just get people to take RFK more seriously and split that vote.
Yeah, I mean,
because I'm with you. I'm with you. The idea that like it's going to be close no matter what ends up happening. Just because of how fucked up everything is. I'm not even going to get into all that right now. But the only way I can see where Trump wins in some kind of landslide is if RFK was taken more seriously on a national level and he got the boomer vote for, you know, like you were saying with Nate Silver talking about people who only tune in once every 4 years, and this is the first time that they've even paid attention to Biden since the last election, and they're like, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, but even then, I don't think that Trump can win like New Jersey, because there was a poll that came out, I think 3 days ago, that had Trump winning by 2 in New Jersey, and it's like, okay, great, maybe you're making it closer, but we're not there yet.
Right, guy, I would say that the two biggest problems in the political arena in the United States right now
Mm-hmm.
are the sheer number of boomers who still think it's the 80s and room temperature IQ brain dead fucking people. It's like anybody who lives off of welfare is a good example of that, but like universal suffrage is a horrible idea, and we're really seeing that in action right now big time. There are so many people voting who have no business doing it.
Democracy simply doesn't work.
I mean, think about it like this, man. If your cognitive faculties are deemed as having been degenerated to such an extent that they take away your driver's license when you're old, why don't they take away your vote too?
Mm-hmm. The world is on track to reach complete crescendo by 2026. This 2024 is the year of the election worldwide. Yeah, there's some stuff happening in Europe as well. I know a little bit about it. I've been paying super close attention because I don't live in Europe, but I'm aware of it. I mean, honestly, if Trump picks Youngkin as his VP, which I think could happen, I think that changes things in Virginia by a pretty good margin. I do. I don't know if it would be enough, but it would certainly be a factor.
Being what people have been saying, a lot of people have been bringing up age, which is funny that they even fucking dare to do it with Trump, because it's like, this guy is so much more of like an actual human than Biden is, and you're trying to equate the two because their ages are somewhat similar that it's baffling.
Mm-hmm.
One guy is clearly suffering from the degeneration of old age, and the other guy isn't. Like,
yeah. Biden acts
However,
much younger than his... I mean, Trump acts much younger than his age.
right. However, I think picking somebody for VP, it's got to be somebody young.
Mm.
Because like people have been talking about Kamala replacing Biden, and I heard one argument for it, like in terms of what the Dems would say to try to campaign on that. And when I heard it, I'm like, you know, that sounds pretty valid to me. I could see a lot of retards falling for that. Which is not that Biden's incompetent or stupid or any shit like that, but they're like, he stepped down because it was clear that his age has been affecting him. Now we have someone very young who's capable, girl boss, blah blah blah. We replaced our aging representative. Why won't the Republicans? You know, if you want someone who clearly does not have dementia, you have to vote Democrat because, hey, Trump is in his 70s.
Okay, Well, first of all, Republicans had an open primary where anybody could run, and several young people did run, and Trump won easily, so circumventing the democratic process of the primaries because of old age does not really work here. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
And I completely agree with you. That's why I said, that retards would fall for it. But that's the thing, retards would fall for it. It's the same boomers who still think it's the 80s would be happy to vote for a whammon.
Well, I think the actual argument for Kamala is she's capable of speaking in complete sentences, and that, I mean, not that I care either way, of course, because I'm not voting for either of them, but that's a pretty good argument, right? Like, she's not dying right in front of us. She's actually capable of finishing her thought.
There's one huge problem, though, is that regardless, both of them still wear diapers, because they're all like, well, hey, at least Kamala doesn't shit herself in public. It's like, that's not true at all. Because Biden does it because he's so old, he's incontinent, but Kamala, like, she sold her body in order to get as far as she did in her political career. Her asshole is completely blown out. She has no sphincter control remaining. Like,
Montel Williams' side piece, man.
Yeah, I can't believe it either. What an amazing message for young girls, because that was the funny thing is fucking, all the people trying to be like, oh my god, since Hillary lost, we're telling our daughters that they're not allowed to be president. And it's all like, okay, so one incompetent buffoon fucking lost her election, and that means that no one can be president. It's fucking horseshit.
Mm-hmm.
But then they try to redeem the whole Kamala thing. They're like, yay, she's the vice president, blah, 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 a woman can be vice president. It's all like, you just told all those little girls that the only way that they'll be vice president is if they sell sexual favors to get there. Like,
mm-hmm.
This is not the flex you think it is.
And, I've seen some people on X and stuff argue for, like, forget the horse race. It's the right thing to do to give America at least a mentally competent president for the next 4 to 6 months. Even if we're going to lose because of it, it's the right thing to do. Because he clearly cannot do this job in the most basic way describable. Like, everyone's looking at it through the mechanics of the horse race. Who would do better in the general election, Biden or Kamala? It's like, Nate Silver, one of his arguments has been, forget that for a second. Let's just do the right thing.
Right back.
Okay. Right. Did it. I gotta go refill my water, guys. I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. Ah. I just can't believe every single hitter on this team, except for maybe Luke Rayleigh, started slumping at the exact same time, and nobody could, like, right the ship for 2 weeks. It was just insane. And, I mean, it's still going on, even though we finally scored some runs today, so it's not over, but, like, nobody has a solution. You're not going to make a trade. You're not going to do something. Like, you're just going to sit there and watch every single hitter on this team decompose right in front of us. Like, I know this team doesn't have a big payroll, but they don't have a tiny payroll. They don't have, you know, they don't refuse to hand out any long-term contracts. They just refuse. They're just not going to go over the top the way some teams do. And it's not like this whole team is made out of veteran minimum guys. That's the way they're playing right now. It's like, holy shit. I would understand a few of them slumping, but talk about letting the air out of the room.
Really funny, actually.
What?
I'm checking news on Miami moves during free agency and such. There's not much, but this happened that made me really laugh. Caleb Martin opted out because he thought he was going to get paid like hella money. So, you know, he opted out feeling disrespected by what the Heat offered him, as, you know, often happens. He's like, no, I'm going to hit the open market and see what I can get. Which is what happened to Struce and Vincent. You know, they got hella paid. We couldn't afford to keep them. So after our finals run, they left. But here's what happened. When Caleb Martin opted out, we offered him multiple year contract extension, I think 3 years, on top of the year that he already had. So it would have been for 4 more years from this point, $7 million per. He thought he could get more than $7 million. There are teams that are interested in him. There are teams that are offering him, but the highest offer that he's received so far has been 4.
That surprises me. I like Caleb Martin. He's a good player. I'm surprised there's no money for him.
So do I. But this is hilarious because he figured that he was going to be worth more than he is and opted out. And even if he came back to Miami now, he'd have to sign a 1-year deal because we can't afford to give him $7 million. So it's like, dude, you fucked yourself. Like, we even want to bring you back, but we can't give you as much money anymore. But that's also what makes it likely that he's not going to come back to Miami, is that we could probably offer him even less than some of those other teams are offering him. Regardless, he's going to be making less money than if he just decided to re-up and stay with us.
Feels like usually agents get those kinds of decisions right. That's kind of wild.
Yeah, I'm sitting there like, hey man, fuck off and die. It's impossible not to be like fucking swimming in salt. Oh my god, I don't know if you've seen this picture because the tweet is from 17 minutes ago and you're obviously not looking at Twitter. But I know that you also follow Kaguya's Top Gal, so there's possibly a chance that you've seen it, but this is fucking amazing.
Yeah, give me a second here. Oh, by the way, did you see the latest attempt to, like, get a gotcha video on Trump from, I think it was yesterday?
No.
He was at the golf course a couple days after the debate, and somebody went up to him and asked him, like, you know, so how'd you think about what you did? And you can look up the video to see exactly what he said, but he said some version of, he's going to drop out, I knocked him out, and now they're going to be stuck with Kamala, and she's pathetic, or something like that. So they're trying to, like you said, as a gotcha, like, oh, she's so... He called a black woman pathetic. It's like, do you really think that's going to, like, win one person over? Do you think one person cares?
People who do not like Trump have called him a racist for 9 years now since he announced in 2015. No one called him a racist before then. And people who like Trump, by and large, are becoming more racist by the day because they have eyes and a functioning brain. So, yeah, if anything, that's probably going to increase his support. Pretty funny, though.
Just surprises me the degree to which they don't get it. The traditional ways by which you can hurt a candidate do not work here. Like, I know that the Access Hollywood tape hurt him by some amount. I'm sure it did. But if that wasn't able to sink him, then something like that is not going to be able to sink him. And it's just weird that they think this kind of stuff can work. Because in the same video, he's giving out $100 bills to his caddy or something as a tip, and he keeps talking about, you know, his no tax on tips policy idea.
Right. Bro, just think about it for a second. Let's say that the no tax on tips thing goes through. You're going to get pressured even harder whenever you go to a restaurant or a fast food place or anywhere, and then the fucking, well, like, not a restaurant because you actually do tip, you know, your server, but like when, like good example, yesterday I went to Five Guys, and as I'm paying, they got, you know, the tip. I'm literally paying. They haven't even done a single fucking thing yet. And it's like, do you want to include a tip? You know, the thing just automatically pops up. I'm like, no, they haven't done anything. Like.
And Five Guys is so fucking expensive already. It's like, that's not a place I'm really looking to tip. I'm
without
sorry.
the tip, just for me. Now, I'll say just for me, I didn't order a lot, but I ordered the largest version of things that I could get. Just for me, yesterday was $28. And it's because I got the bacon burger, which is pretty expensive by itself, is $12. Then I got a large fry, which was 8 something, and then I got a shake, which was 6 something. Now, in and of itself, that's a hamburger with 2 patties, bacon, and I also got the toppings don't matter because the toppings are always included in the price of the burger. It's the same whether you get a plain or with everything. But I got mushrooms and A1 sauce. So I've got it's just a hamburger with 2 patties and 2 strips of bacon, mushrooms and A1 sauce, $12 some. A large fry, which Five Guys does give you a lot of fries, but still almost $10 for a large fry, and then one shake. It was all $28. I'm like, son of a bitch. And they're asking for a tip on top of that. I'm like, hell no. Like, plus they're making more than I am because here in California, fast food workers, it's a $20 an hour minimum wage. That went into effect back in, I think, April.
Yeah, I maintain that Five Guys is worth it because it's so much better than other fast food places, but it's out of control.
Yeah, I don't regret it at all. You know, I went there intentionally because the day before at work they were having a barbecue, and what was there at the barbecue was hamburgers, hot dogs, and bratwurst. So the first time I go up, I wanted a hamburger, but so did everybody else. The first time I go up, by the time I get there in line, they say, if you want a hamburger, you're going to have to wait 5 minutes because we're out and we need to cook more. I'm like, we have 30 minutes for lunch. I can't spend 5 minutes standing here waiting. So fuck it, give me a bratwurst. So I get that, I go down, I eat, and then I'm thinking, someone mentions that there are seconds available. So I'm like, hey, this is the opportunity to get a hamburger. So I got up, trying to go get a hamburger, and the second time I go up there, once again, they're out of fucking hamburgers. I'm like, son of a bitch.
Everybody wanted a hamburger?
Yeah. no one wanted hot dogs. They were like fucking trying to hand those hot dogs away. They're like, so I said, all right, fine, give me a hot dog. They're like, all right, would you take 4? And I'm like, yeah, fuck it, okay, because they're just trying to get them out of there. I'm like, okay, no one wants a hot dog, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm like, people would have taken a hot dog if you'd have been able to get, because like the way that they did it is when you go up, you can only get one of one thing. So everyone says the burger, because the burger is more food, plus it's a burger.
Mm-hmm.
And all the toppings that were there were basically burger toppings. Like they had tomato slices, cheese, lettuce, and I'm all like, no one's gonna put that on a hot dog. Like, how do you put tomato slices on a hot dog?
Some people do that. I think it sounds awful, but I don't like tomatoes anyway.
Now, I love tomatoes. Diced tomatoes could make sense to me because you'd be able to fit that on a hot dog. But I'm talking about like an actual fucking slice of a tomato. How do you even fit that in there? Fuck. So, yeah, because of that, I was like, well, now I really want a burger, and I kept thinking about it all day when I was at work yesterday. So I finally go, fuck it. When I get home, I'm gonna go get a burger. So knowing that, I'm obviously gonna go to Five Guys because, like you said, any other fast food place sucks. And being someone who lives in California, I include In-N-Out in that list. In-N-Out to me is the most overrated fast food in existence. Because the way that it even says it in the name, it's supposed to be fast.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's popular. I get in line, it takes 40 fucking minutes because everyone wants the shit. But it's overrated to hell and back. It's not even that good. It is the definition of mid.
Is that the place that does things like animal style, or am I thinking of something else?
Yes it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the most overrated shit imaginable. So, I'm thinking I'm gonna go to Five Guys. Because, 9 o'clock, it's an hour before Five Guys closes. There's nobody in there. 9 o'clock, it doesn't matter that it's 9 o'clock. Everyone's in line, and then it's still going to take 40 fucking minutes. I'm like, well, screw that shit. So I go to Five, I don't regret how much it cost. I went there knowing it was going to be expensive. I went there anyway knowingly because I wanted that experience. That's the point is, I go and I hit, no tip, and like the guy's like all disappointed and shit, and I'm all like, you make more than I do. I get paid $18 an hour. You get paid $20. So you're getting paid more than I do to stand there with this big fucking sour look on your face because I'm not going to tip you when you saw damn well just for me, this is damn near $30. Fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you realize I could have gone to Little Caesars and ordered 4 fucking pizzas for the cost of this?
When you put it like that, it raises a legitimate question on what you should be doing, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, I just don't want to have pizza every single day because I would die.
Yeah, I get you. How does Little Caesars do it, by the way? They're the one place that is still kind of like able to keep their costs down.
Genetically superior. No, it's because they use a cheese mixture that other people don't, and the mixture is far cheaper. Because they use, in addition to mozzarella, they use Munster. It's a Munster and mozzarella combination. A lot of other places just do mozzarella. Mozzarella can get pretty expensive, so.
Mm-hmm.
I think they cut down costs that way. And that is depressing.
I just saw that picture you sent me.
Based. Yeah, that's very often the case. And the correct answer is, of course not, because he actually interacts with blacks. What? Good lord.
So apparently one of Warren Buffett's children is using his father's money, because I guess Warren Buffett is leaving each of his children $100 million each, I think. And I guess he's using the money to form an anti-immigrant militia. And some people are really, really fucking mad. It's pretty funny.
That is very based, have to say.
So this morning, my mom had Fox News on when I was making breakfast, and Gavin Newsom was in Michigan campaigning for Biden. Why is Gavin Newsom popular in Michigan? He's barely popular in his own state. Like, to me, it was very weird.
What he's doing is testing the waters, because Gavin absolutely wants to be president. He wants it as bad as anyone has wanted anything. Mm-hmm. So he's trying to see if he actually has appeal outside of California. That's what this is. Because no one looks at him as being a leader of the party. Mm-hmm. Furthermore, I highly doubt that anyone looks at him and thinks that it's his turn, you know? He's just testing it, because, like, imagine if he actually was. If he was incredibly fucking popular, and him campaigning in Michigan, like, easily swung Michigan for Biden by him doing that, then, like, there's no question we'd see him on the 2028 ticket.
And he's not that, like, good of a speaker or anything. He's not personable. He has, like, Patrick Bateman vibes. And he lost a debate against Ron DeSantis earlier this year, and Ron DeSantis isn't a good debater or speaker either.
Right. Yeah, when he's taken out of his comfort zone, he can't function very well at all. Mm-hmm. He's literally a plant, bro. Like, he's related to Nancy Pelosi and a lot of other people involved in California politics, so he ended up there because, you know, nepotism. It is not good. He's not good.
He said he wanted the non-spicy chicken.
That was tremendous.
Yeah, I can't stand fast food spicy variants like spicy chicken, spicy pork.
It usually always sucks too. Like, I'm a huge fan of spicy stuff, but, like, I rarely get spicy stuff at fast food places because they just always fuck it up. That's awful.
Yeah, isn't there a thing about how, like, spicy nuggets from Wendy's make people's assholes explode later?
Be hilarious.
When I'm president, we're going to put a lot of coal miners out of business.
Didn't she say that in West Virginia, too?
I think so. I mean, obviously she didn't mean it the way it came out, but it was one hell of a soundbite. President Joe Biden made a statement on a Philadelphia radio station today expressing pride in being the first black woman to serve with a black president.
Wow.
I am the first black woman to serve with a black president. That's pretty good. I like it.
I can tell you exactly who that reminds me of is Jay Sherman's dad from The Critic, because he was the former governor of New York, but he had also become senile. So Jay's boss, Duke, runs for president as an independent. It's like a whole Ross Perot meme. And Jay's dad, as a former governor of New York, ends up being on the vice presidential ticket. And at the vice presidential debate, he made a complete ass of himself because, again, he's senile. And the show's a comedy, so, of course. But
it's over the top, yeah.
He almost said that exact same fucking line. I'll find right here.
I think it was John Kerry that said, I would love to be the first black president. Now, he meant it. He was making a joke about how he had appealed to black voters. That, black people were overwhelmingly voting for him, but it still sounded weird. Because everyone knows that Bill Clinton was the first black president.
Exactly.
Ben Franklin didn't plow through dozens and dozens of French whores so that you could abide by fireworks ordinances. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah. When John Adams was president, and it looked like we were potentially going to go to war with France, John Adams sent Ben Franklin over to France as an ambassador to try to talk them down, and it worked. And just like that said, all Ben Franklin did was fuck a bunch of French milk.
Lorne. God damn it, the door was fucking open. God fucking damn it. Finally, some good fucking baseball. Where the hell are the... Oh my god. No one's running a fucking breakaway. Yikes. Oh boy. Oh, I just heard a firework. My first one today. Let's go.
I have been hearing fireworks for the last 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People out here wildin', bro. Yeah. I Oh my god. Turns out Caleb Martin actually turned down $15 million a season to have re-signed with Miami.
Well, that's just goofy.
He left $11 million on the table because he thought he was going to get more. The most anyone's offered him has been 4.
Usually when athletes bet on themselves, they win, but that's going to go down as an all-timer.
I cannot fucking believe that guy. Oh, wow.
Remember the Dennis Schroeder bag fumble? That was worse than this, but it's pretty bad.
Oh, yeah. This is more money than Wade fucking left to Chicago for.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Goddamn. It makes our cap situation better down the road. Talking with other Heat fans, it's like this upcoming season is obviously a wash. There's literally nothing we can do. The only thing we can hope for is that Jimmy actually sucks, so his playing to bet on himself backfires and we can re-sign him for less money.
I mean, if he
Plus,
sucks,
in addition
do you
to that,
want him back?
well, sucks is relative. Because I mean, of course we want him back because we like him, but like, I don't think he's ever going to be the guy that we saw over the last 4 or 5 seasons ever again, because he's just on the wrong side of 30. But he's still a good player, like, obviously. It's still good to have him. You'd be fucking kidding me. What the hell? That's weird. Okay, never mind. I don't know. I'm just gonna blame the Heat on that one. I'm trying to download an update on Steam right now, and it keeps interrupting and saying content servers unreachable, but then I retry, and then it starts again, and then it fails, and then I reach it. It's just... I blame Heat on servers and blah, 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 because this happens every summer. Anyway, yeah, then Duncan Robinson, he's got to go, but he's got a player option next season. So he'll probably pick that up. Unless he does the same thing where he refuses and thinks that he can re-up for more money somewhere else, which would be great for us. And Rozier is, I believe, has a team option. We can decline that. We're married to Hero, unfortunately, if we can't trade him. But if we got rid of Rozier and Robinson, that's $50 million in cap a year right there that we get rid of. And if we can restructure Jimmy's contract because he ends up not doing as well as he thought he was gonna. Because we offered him a hell of a fucking extension. It wasn't a supermax, and that's what he wants is the supermax. And that's what I mean, is he's not gonna get that. You know, if he balls out, yeah, if he balls out and earns a supermax, like, you can't even sit there and say that he'd earn it, because again, he's on the wrong side of 30. So it's like, bro, by the time that contract runs out, you're gonna be like 38. You think you're still gonna be worth supermax money? Unless it's front loaded to hell and back. Which would actually work, but players don't take front loaded contracts. What happens? We're out of it. It would take nothing short of divine intervention, a legitimate true miracle, for Miami to do anything next season. So just take the shit on the chin and just focus on restructuring this hellacious salary cap situation over the next couple of years. Because, you know, we went all in and we went to the finals twice. We just couldn't get it, and, you know, it happened. You know, you come up short. The Nuggets played almost perfect basketball, and listening to what Dwight had to say, you know, from my friend's brother talking about what was going on in the bubble, no one other than the Lakers were going to win. Every other player wanted to, like, kill themselves. Some of them hadn't seen their family since, like, April. Other players like Harden didn't give a shit. They wanted to lose as fast as possible because as soon as they lose, they're out. People just wanted to go back to society because it's like you've kept them trapped in this bubble. It's probably really shitty to a lot of those guys. Like, a lot of teams just straight up fucking threw it. They didn't care. They were like, the sooner we leave, the sooner we can fucking go home. So, you know, sucks that we didn't win that year, but nobody was gonna, except for the Lakers. So we did our best, but we're just paying the price for going all in now. So next season, there's nothing we can, like, you just got to get through it and let that time pass.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun run. I mean, it didn't result the way, it didn't end the way you wanted it to end, but it could have been a lot worse.
Ends up, yeah, that's how it ends up for most people. So, yeah, the only thing you can do is just not make it any worse than just say, okay, 2027 we'll be back. Because, I mean, the guys that we're taking in the draft have really panned out for us, except for Hero. So as long as everybody else continues to improve, like 2027, we should be ready to make some noise. I mean, Bam is still very, very young. Really, we've got our core if our guys, you know, work out the way that they should, and even if they don't, you know, if Jimmy bets on himself and he loses, so then we get a discount on him re-signing him. And then we're able to use all that freed up cap from getting rid of Robinson and Rozier, which I feel should be our priority. Use that to bring in somebody who's actually, like, really good for the team. We're back. You know, you don't have far to go. You're just in the worst possible position right now, which is right outside. And you just need that last little bit to push you through. But thanks to how things have gone for us, we don't have that extra little bit. Like, you know when you're working out and you're approaching the point of muscle failure and, like, you're right there at the end of a rep, but you literally can't do it, like your body has genuinely given up. You've reached the limit of what your muscles are capable of doing right now, so you either need a spot or you go down. That's where we're at right now. A spot is divine intervention. You know, like, a spot is basically spite. Like, when Joe Cronin gave the Celtics Drew Holiday for peanuts, that was a spot. But I don't think that's gonna happen. So you just go back down and you say, okay, good workout. Go home and rest, and you know, next workout we'll try to do better.
I hear you.
But you know, you say that, right? You say that to the youngins, and they get all upset and shit. And I'm all like, you guys, like, I know you want to win. I want to win too, but look at who the fuck we'd have to be playing against, and tell me how you think we have any shot at beating any of these guys. The Pacers would kill us, the Knicks would kill us, the Cavs would kill us, the Celtics obviously will fucking kill us. Like, I don't even think we could get past the Sixers anymore. We could have without Paul George, but with him, maybe, I don't know. Like, it's a small list of people that we'd actually be able to beat.
So, apparently, Abigail Disney, the heiress of the Disney fortune, of course, has said she will not be donating to Democrats this election cycle unless Joe Biden drops out.
Based.
That's a pretty big deal, I would think.
Yeah, because Trump is having no problems raising money whatsoever, but the Democrats are really, really not raising a lot of money. And man, that's tough.
Maybe this is just a way to cover for the fact that Disney is losing their ass and she doesn't have money to donate. So that's it? And after all these years, goodbye and good luck?
I don't call saying good luck. That is probably one of the coldest lines that The Simpsons has ever.
Yeah, that's
come
one of
up
their
with.
best ever.
Holy shit. I don't recall saying good luck.
It is such a good one.
What's really funny is that I know that it's just, a dopey comedy show, so whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But they straight up told Kirk that they were firing him because he was getting divorced, and the divorce was not his fault, and it wasn't his decision.
Mm-hmm.
He really could have sued them for something and won.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be wrongful termination or discrimination of some kind, but like that is obviously a lawsuit and easily winning that. So I know they didn't do that because that was the whole point, was Kirk was supposed to have his life ruined and we'd all laugh at him.
Mm-hmm.
But
He's supposed to be the loser, yeah.
Right, the guy literally said we don't know what divorced people do, and frankly we don't want to know. I'd have to let you go.
Yeah, sitcoms mess around with that stuff to maintain the status quo. Like, there was one subplot in 2.5 Men, I remember, where, Alan, the loser brother character, gets a divorce, and they're negotiating alimony, and Alan's lawyer sleeps with Charlie, and then Charlie breaks up with his lawyer, so his lawyer decides to take revenge by screwing Charlie's brother over in the alimony deal to make it as bad as possible for him, which would very obviously not hold up in the court and would be very easy for him to just get thrown out and redone with a different lawyer. But he just lives with this awful alimony arrangement for like 4 years because it's funny.
Man, that's tragic.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you race these weird fucking bird things if they can't stay upright? Like,
Shit! God!
constant.
Fucking door. Okay. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, this is gonna be tight. What? I can't do that? No, I just got screwed because I didn't know you couldn't go over that fucking lip. God damn it.
Oh,
I thought you could go
yes,
over that. Okay, whatever. Let's try that again.
that was close.
But anyway, yeah. Let's see. These
Bro.
aren't weird bird things. These are chocobos. I do
Bro,
not know
look.
what a chocobo is.
Look at the date that this tweet was posted.
Alright, 1 second. Goddamn stupid fucking door. Every goddamn fucking time. JJ Reddick took Bronny's heart medication and threw it into the crowd. You don't deserve this!
Ronnie, despite having taken a pill before the game, immediately begins seething. Turned too much. That's a pretty good tweet. Ah. Razorfist called Thanos a purple homo. That's pretty good.
Well, we never see him express any interest in women. And he doesn't have any children that we know of.
Yeah, other than the kids that like he steals and then adopts them and says, this is my child now. Oh god, you're right, he's a diddler. He just snatches kids off the fucking street. Jesus Christ.
What the hell, Tyrone? You let him get away.
I'm not sure why. George Martin decided to start publicly taking a shit on Tolkien when George Martin is probably the worst author of all time in terms of respecting his fan base.
Okay, I don't know if this was like a made-up quote or a real quote. Did he say something like, you know, I like his books, but there's not enough sex in them because people have sex, and I wanted to depict that in my books?
Well, no, it wasn't strictly on that. He commonly criticizes Tolkien and has his entire career. That's why people call him the American Tolkien. Is the whole point of what he wanted to do with the Song of Ice and Fire was to create Lord of the Rings except real. Mm-hmm. So he tried and he did a really good job with that up until he stopped writing shit. So, you know, he comes out with this like a lot of people talking about it lately, where he says, here's the quote, "Life is very full of sex, or it should be. As much as I admire Tolkien, and I do, he was a giant of fantasy and a giant of literature, and I think he wrote great books that will be read for many years. You do have to wonder where all those hobbits came from, since you can't imagine hobbits having sex, can you? Well, sex is an important part of who we are. It drives us, it motivates us, it makes us do sometimes very noble things, and it makes us do sometimes incredibly stupid things. Leave it out and you've got an incomplete world." Now, Tolkien described the hobbits as having very large families and lots of children. He just didn't write any sex scenes because he's not a degenerate pervert. Meanwhile, even the people who love the series, the sex scenes that George writes are often considered some of the cringiest and easiest to remove material in the entire series. Because it's fucking gross. You know?
She moaned like a fat man trying to take a shit.
Well, Jesus Christ, I'll read you a good one. Let me see here. Mirror Swamp. So, this is a passage where Queen Cersei has a lesbian encounter with a, for all intents and purposes, imagine her as being like an Arab lady. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm just reading straight up the quote here from the passage. Cersei cups the other woman's breast, softly at first, hardly touching, feeling the warmth of it beneath her palm, the skin as smooth as satin. She gave it a gentle squeeze, then ran her thumbnail lightly across the big dark nipple, back and forth until she felt it stiffen. When she glanced up, Hannah's eyes were open. "Does that feel good?" she asked. "Yes," said Lady Merryweather. "And this," Cersei pinched the nipple now, pulling on it hard, twisting it between her fingers. The Mirish woman gave a gasp of pain. "You're hurting me." "It's just the wine. I had a flagon with my supper, and another with the widow's Stokeworth. I had to drink to keep her calm." She twisted Tana's other nipple too, pulling until the other woman gasped. "I am the queen. I mean to claim my rights." "Do what you will." Tana's hair was as black as Robert's, even down between her legs, and when Cersei touched her there, she found her hair all sopping wet, where Robert's had been coarse and dry. Please, the Mirror woman said, go on, my queen. Do as you will with me. I'm yours. But it was no good. She could not feel it, whatever Robert felt on the nights he took her. There was no pleasure in it, not for her. For Tana, yes. Her nipples were two black diamonds. Her sex slick and steamy. Robert would have loved you for an hour. The queen slid a finger into that mirror swamp. Then another, moving them in and out. But once he spent himself inside you, he would have been hard-pressed to even recall your name. He wanted to see if it would be as easy with a woman as it had always been with Robert. 10,000 of your children perished in my palm, your grace, he thought, slipping a third finger into Mir. Whilst you snored, I would lick your sons off my face and fingers one by one, all those pale, sticky princes. You claimed your rights, my lord, but in the darkness I would eat your heirs. Tana gave a shudder. He gasped some words in a foreign tongue, then shuddered again and arched her back and screamed. She sounds as if she is being gored, the queen thought. For a moment she let herself imagine that her fingers were a boar's tusk, ripping the Mirish woman apart from groin to throat. It was still no good. It had never been any good with anyone but Jamie. Like, that was horrifying, right?
Yeah.
And as you're reading this, you're like, ugh. You know, and hey, it does do a good job of demonstrating a lot of what Cersei's going through at the moment in terms of her character, where she's just gone completely off the fucking deep end. But describing a woman's naughty parts as a swamp is just fucking disgusting.
Yeah, and also, I mean, The Hobbit was a children's book anyway. I know Lord of the Rings isn't, but The Hobbit is a children's book, so I don't know why he thinks that should even be a consideration.
Yeah, his, like, I could read you a lot more, because literally every single sex scene that he had ever written in the series is cringy and awful. And it's all like, look, bro, fucking just take the L. Like, you try to write Lord of the Rings but edgier, where you're going to put in a lot of gratuitous violence and sex for no reason. Mm-hmm. But aside from the fact that you never fucking finished, all you really managed to do was write Babby's first, like, he's fucking the authorial equivalent of George Carlin. Which is ancient boomer thinks he's being edgy because he still thinks he's 20. And he's saying shit that would have really pissed off his parents even though they've been dead for like 100 years. It's like the shit doesn't even fucking register on the Richter scale anymore. It's like you're not moving the needle in any direction. This is just gross. So yeah, I don't know why the fuck he thought it was a good idea to come out with this quote now, taking shots at Tolkien for some reason, when people have been waiting for, well, it came out in July of 2011, so yeah, it's the 13th anniversary of when the last book came out. 13 fucking years.
Man,
to write one book.
Last time a Song of Ice and Fire book came out, John Boner was the Speaker of the House.
That's correct. July 2011 is when the last book came out.
Wild.
And if you think that's bad, people were already pissed because the last book that came out took forever to fucking come out also. Let me check here. 2005. So yeah, it took 6 years for him to write the last book. It has taken twice that long for him to write the current one, and there's the next one's never going to come out. So 6 years, and people were already pissed and talked about how much of a horrendous delay that was and how that was inexcusable. And what's worse is that the fourth book and the fifth book aren't complete. They were supposed to be one book, and then they got split up because of how long it was taking. So for some of the characters, we haven't heard from them or their stories since the fourth book was released. And the fourth book was released in October of 2005, which means next year will be the 20th anniversary of the last time we've heard from some of these characters.
Mhm.
20 years. You could commit murder and go to prison for less time than that.
Yeah, to my recollection, the guy who wrote Dune, Frank Herbert or whatever his name is, he also wasn't a big Tolkien fan.
Well, yeah, he wasn't a big Tolkien fan because he was one of the first guys to want to try to do the deconstruction, and because it's like you're standing on the shoulders of a giant, and if you're writing fantasy anything, it doesn't matter the genre, you know. So Frank Herbert's trying to do far in the future science fiction fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
It's still fantasy, so he still has to contend with the awesome legacy of Tolkien,
Mm-hmm.
especially as he's trying to create his own universe. So, because he's doing that shit in the 60s, you know, he was the first one of the boomers to try to do that deconstruction crap. But that was the thing, is he tried telling the story with a specific idea in mind of how the audience would accept it, how the audience would interpret it, how the audience would react to it. And the way that the audience actually reacted to it was very different from what he had in mind. One of those fags who goes, "You're enjoying it the wrong way." And it completely colored the way that he wrote all the subsequent books until he finally just leaned into the meme and gave the audience what they were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
But that was, as his life went on, he started to appreciate Tolkien more and more because he was like, you know, it's fucking hard to do this. And that guy not only did it right the first time, but he did it better than anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, that guy's not just a once-in-a-generation kind of person. That's a once-in-like-ever kind of person. That's Leonardo da Vinci, man.
Yeah, one of the amateur reviewers that I occasionally watch on YouTube and Twitch who really does not like George R.R. Martin at all. He thinks that the Game of Thrones TV show is incredibly boring. He thinks that the first book was good, but the rest of it's bad. One thing that he likes to say is that George R.R. Martin doesn't write story, he writes lore. Like, he has maintained that Game of Thrones and Song of Ice and Fire do not have any kind of a story. It's just lore, which he's really not into. Which ironically is one of the things he likes about Elden Ring, which George R.R. Martin wrote, because those games are supposed to have no story.
Yes. And yeah, George is pretty big on lore. He even, like, again, it's been 13 fucking years since the last book, but that doesn't mean that's the last book that he's written and published. He's actually published 3 fucking books since then in the Song of Ice and Fire universe, and they are all lore for the universe. But yeah, you're right, in that sense. I disagree with saying that a Song of Ice and Fire doesn't have a story. Because I think it does. It's just the story is less interesting for George to write than the lore, so he doesn't spend as much time on it. One of George's biggest sayings that he constantly repeats over and over and over again is that the only thing worth writing about is the human heart in conflict with itself, which I think is a pretentious and retarded thing to say in the first place. But that's the premise for, like, every single situation. He wants characters to be struggling with the way that they feel versus what they think they need to do. And, you know, it's interesting for a while, but then it starts to become boring as he's basically recycling the same concept over and over again. And there is a lot more going on in the world than the human heart in conflict with itself. Mm-hmm. So, you know. Because of that, you always end up in a situation where people don't ever have anything resembling a happy ending, which is retarded, because it's like, you know, sometimes it really does work out for some people. You know? And one of his biggest criticisms of Tolkien is this extraordinarily reductionist shit, where he's like, but what was Aragorn's tax policy? You know, you say that Aragorn became king, and he ruled and was wise and good, and the land prospered under his rule. Well, how? You know, just because he's a good guy doesn't mean he would have been a good king. And it's like, well, yeah, that's true, but who the fuck actually wants to read about Aragorn's tax policy? Are you stupid?
Yeah, the story's not about Aragorn. The story's about, you know, the One Ring. The story is about the Fellowship of the One Ring. Like, the story's not even real. I mean, that's a subplot. Aragorn's part in the story is a subplot.
Yeah.
Anyway, like,
George Martin is he's a boomer hippie. And he is probably one of the biggest offenders of still thinks it's the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
No one's gotten the fucking message to him yet that it's actually, that was 40 years ago. So get with the fucking program, Grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
Was out of touch as the other day on Colbert's show when he tried to do an amazing pro Joe Biden thing where it was Skibbity Biden. Did you see that?
George R.R. Martin did that?
No,
Okay.
Steve Colbert.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, I was like, what the fuck? I did not see that, no.
Well, that was another thing. George Martin is a big-time liberal, but again, he's a boomer liberal who was not paying any fucking attention, and if he was, he would be super depressed.
Mm-hmm.
But there was basically no progress was made on the Winds of Winter at all during Trump's presidency because he was constantly depressed. Oh my God, our president is so awful. And it's like, will you shut up, you giant fag? Like, what the fuck are you even complaining about, you doofus? He wrote 2 books when George Bush was in office.
Yeah, Hideki Anno was critically and clinically and extremely depressed when he made Evangelion, and he poured his depression into what he was writing and made it better because of what he was going through.
Yeah, that's Stephen Colbert's thing. He thought this was some big amazing moment. It's like that. Like the top comment, the 9/11 of television.
Yeah, I was talking a little bit about Colbert while you were gone a little bit earlier in the chat, and I was saying, like, you know, I don't like Jon Stewart either, but at least I think his comedic timing is capable of being pretty good. Like, I've never seen Colbert be funny. Everything is just like, he shows a clip from Fox News or a radio talk show or whatever, and then he starts making exaggerated facial expressions at the camera. It's like, it's not funny.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Gutfeld's funny either, but it's funnier than what Colbert does. Like, I don't even see how boomers think this is funny.
In fact, Colbert is actually responsible for something that helped me know, in my mind, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Biden was installed illegitimately and not through genuine election. Is because in 2008, when Biden was running for president, would lose the nomination very early on to the 2 finalists ended up being Hillary and Obama.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Colbert actually that he would run for president for like a couple weeks there to get attention.
Mm-hmm.
And in his home state of one of the Carolinas, I forget which, he was actually polling better than Biden. Like, Biden at the time had 3% of the vote in those polls, and Colbert was at 8%.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, if a fucking late night TV show host who just makes slop is polling better than alleged politician here.
Yeah, that's funny because I remember I saw a clip of this recently on MSNBC. Chris Hayes, the day before Trump announced, it was either the day of or the day before Trump announced he was running in 2015, he had a bit on his show about how, of course, he's not actually running for president. He's going to do it for a couple weeks. This is just trying to hype up his show. He's going to do something on The Apprentice that is going to have something to do with going through the motions of running a presidential campaign for a couple of weeks. And he's like, so this isn't really worth talking about him as a candidate. This is some kind of stunt for The Apprentice. So what you're describing Colbert having done is exactly that.
Right, which is very funny. And in fact, Colbert brought it up. He was like, holy shit, I'm polling better than Joe Biden? Wow, Biden sucks. I'm like, and here we are fucking, what, like, 10 years later? Skibbity Biden! What a fucking clown.
I don't even get the Skibbity meme, so... I mean, I think most of the people who like this Skibbity toilet thing are not old enough to vote. I'm pretty sure that's like a...
That's correct.
Fucking... Like not even Zoomer meme. That's like a fucking... like toddler meme. Like, I watched a video after the fact, of course, of Colbert's show the day after Trump won the general against Hillary. And he did this bit where, like, there was this image of God on the ceiling of the studio, and he's, like, talking to God, asking, like, how could you let this happen? And he's... you know, God's mouth is moving. It's like a little cartoon thing. It's like, oh, I didn't know there was an election yesterday. Oh, man, I forgot. I wasn't paying attention. I was watching the Packers game. Crap. It's like, this isn't even remotely funny.
That's pretty terrible. Oh man, speaking of pretty terrible, it just keeps getting worse. Why the fuck did Caleb Martin turn that contract down? It wasn't just $15 million a year. It was for 5 years. $75 million, 5 years.
Wow. That's getting close to Dennis Schroeder territory.
Yeah, it is. And he turned that down because he thought he was going to get more. Because, to be fair, Bruce and Vince both got more. So he's like, well, if they did, I will too. And it's like, your fucking finals run was last year, doofus. How do you think you're going to get anything better than that now? And again, the highest he's been offered from anybody has been 4 a year. For like 2 years. And I'm like, at this point, the dude's going to have to come back with his tail between his legs and accept a minimum. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
How do you fumble that?
Literally Dennis Schroeder style, man.
What a complete idiot.
And that might be his one chance to get paid. Who knows? He's not, you know, an elite level player that is guaranteed to have a massive offer on hand all the time. He's a role player, very much.
He's injury prone, and while he can be a very good contributor as a role player, like you said, he's 28. So unless he has a monster season next year and he signs with somebody for 1 year now, he's never going to get offered 75.5 ever again. Like that was it. That was the best he was ever going to get. If I was him, I would fire my agent on the spot. Matter of fact, okay. I was checking to see who Caleb Martin's agent was, and it's a different guy. Because I was like, if he has the same fucking agent as Dennis Schroeder, I'd be like, that guy should not be working anymore. But yeah, Dennis Schroeder, as a matter of fact, did fire his agent after that happened.
Mm-hmm. Democracy.
According to the New York Times, during Biden's 6 days of debate prep, he never started the day before 11 a.m. and always required an afternoon nap.
Sounds he's just like me, for real, for real.
Yeah, for real. It's like, there's no fucking chance that he's actually the president. There's no fucking way he makes any decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't sleep for 20 hours in the day and be able to make the decisions a president has to make.
Yeah, there was that thing you said the other day about how most presidents, like, sleep 4 hours a day.
Yeah. Like, LBJ is the most famous one. What he did is he would take micro naps. Every 2 hours, he would sleep for 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he would actually go to sleep at night, he would sleep for 2 hours.
I think I'd like that better than what, you know, I actually do in practice, but it would be so fucking hard to implement.
Yeah, it's unless you're one of those special kinds of people that doesn't give you enough time to do REM sleep, which is extremely important for your body to actually regenerate.
Mm-hmm.
So you would, yeah, you wouldn't be in any kind of good health. But if you're one of those special people, you can do it. Well, I don't know about that last bump that you just took. Like, you were hardly moving forward at all. So how could your momentum be that slow and yet it pushes you back that far?
Alright, let me think here. Okay, it is actually letting me do this now, and this is a... I guess let's try this one. I guess let's just do the gold
We're
cup
all
and see if we can pull it off. And hopefully it's not,
forward
like,
to your
harder
next
than all the
race.
other races. Because that track actually did not look bad at all.
Welcome, sir. We've been waiting for you.
Cloud! I can't believe it. This is really happening. We're about to race in the Gold Cup. Oh, hell. I can't tell you how long I've been waiting for this moment. We made it!
Rein it in.
Couldn't even if I wanted. Okay, Cloud. Your bird's ready and raring to go. All that's left is...
Cheating, if that ain't the stupidest. Obviously some sore losers are trying to raise a stink. We'd best nip this thing in the bud. You tell them the reason we keep winning is because we know how to take care of our birds.
I can't believe turning down 75.5. That
Long
was so
time no
insane.
see, Merc. And Miss Tifa, too. Should have told me you were dropping by. Would have given you the royal treatment.
Oh, hey, Sam.
Gotta say, I was surprised to see your name on the jockey list. What sparked your interest in bird racing?
This and that.
Fell into it, did you? Well, you're a natural. Not just anybody can break my ace's streak.
That was just a practice race. My official record is still pristine. This is the Gold Cup. The contest for which Hyperion and I have trained non-stop. You got
Orange
the drop on
man
us
bad,
before,
am I right?
But you won't get lucky twice.
Now we're talking. You two are gonna give the people a race to remember. You're...
Billy, I work on Bill's ranch. You might remember my parents, Will and Clara, since you killed them.
Did I?
Don't play dumb. You were mad their business was eating into your profits. So you got them addicted to gambling. It was all part of your grand plan.
Wouldn't say the story is that simple. But the truth can be one bitter drink. And you ain't nowhere near old enough to keep it down.
I ain't just some stupid kid. And I'll prove it to you. If my man here wins the Gold Cup, that's proof I'm old enough to hear your truth.
You're on.
Jesus.
Diddly little ranch like yours ain't got a chance. But best of luck to y'all.
Sure about this? Pressure's on now.
Yeah, well, all I gotta do is win it all, right?
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Gold Saucers Chocobo Racetrack, which today plays host to racing's biggest competition, the Gold Cup. Over 3 grueling races, our contenders will push themselves to the limit. The world is watching with bated breath as the best of the best take their places for what will surely be one heck of a race. Fan favorite Joe will be riding the Chocobo Hyperion for Sam's Delivery Service. And given his track record, many expect the decorated champion to be first across the finish line. All right, folks, our contenders are ready. Every gate is occupied, so this is it. The moment you've been waiting for, the Gold Cup.
Oh my god. Fuck. Ass. Oh my.
Good lord.
That fucking thing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Sharks scare me. But the concept is
All right, folks,
really.
our contenders are ready.
Yeah, I don't know
Every
either.
gate is occupied,
If
so this is it. The
if
moment
I
you've
went to
been
the
waiting
beach
for, the
and I
Gold
not only
Cup.
saw a shark fin, but I actually saw somebody get attacked by the shark,
Mhm.
I don't care if I know for a fact that that's the last time I'll go to the beach in my life. I ain't going in the water.
Yeah, I understand that.
And that's not just with the context of me, you know, not being a fan of sharks. That's just like fucking have a brain level of fucking why. Because how when there's blood in the water, sharks start freaking the fuck out. Everybody knows that. So if they've already attacked one person, they're going to be even more aggressive. That is so insanely stupid. I can't even... Oh my god.
There will be other
All right,
opportunities to
folks,
swim.
our contenders are ready. Every gate is occupied, so this
You can
is
go to a
it.
pool.
The moment you've been waiting for, the Gold
Anyway.
Cup.
Speaking of dangerous creatures that shouldn't be around.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, if you got the time to watch that video, it's pretty fucking funny. Cause yeah, like just like the tweet says, the race is never mentioned, but you already
Sometimes
know.
you eat the bear, and sometimes the bear eats you. If we're gonna win this
Alright
thing,
guys,
we
it's
gotta
actually
train a
past
hell of
5
a lot
o'clock, so I'm
harder.
not going to do the Gold Cup right now. Because it's a 3-part race, so it's probably going to take like 15 minutes to get through, even if I do it cleanly. So, I'm going to go and get out of here. I'm going to go eat, and I'll come back later tonight. See you guys later.
Yay.